The ELA instructional guides have been updated for kindergarten through 5th grade for the 2019-2020 school year. Multiple considerations were taken into account as the previous planning support tools went through extensive revisions, including the team utilized feedback provided from teachers who were in the classroom using the tools in the past year. We included more support focusing on standards-based instruction. We provided resources and suggestions that promoted a balanced approach to comprehension and foundational skills instruction. We incorporated places during instruction for students to collaborate with each other. And we provided resources and suggestions for differentiating instruction for striving and advanced learners. When you navigate the ELA Instructional Guide site within the Elementary Language Arts Conference and Ideas, you'll notice that the left side of the site contains a variety of grade-specific resources. You can click here to access resources that will be useful all year long to support standards-based planning and the development of reading and writing behaviors. Be sure to check out the updated instructional focus for 2019-2020. The instructional focus is an at-a-glance document that provides a quick overview of the entire grading period. It includes important dates and events for the grading period, the text referenced during each week of instruction, the focus standards for each week to support backwards planning, and the focus for various components of the ELA block, including word study and writing. In the ELA Instructional Guide site within the Elementary Language Arts Conference and Ideas, you'll notice that the middle of the site contains folders for the updated instructional guides. You can click here to access the new ELA instructional guides for the 2019-2020 school year. Again, in the ELA Instructional Guide site, you'll notice that the right side of the site contains folders for weekly resources. You can click here to access weekly resources mentioned within the instructional guides. You'll find all sorts of supports, including graphic organizers, exit tickets, and printable versions of non-Journeys text. The graphic organizers have been included as Word documents, so you can modify them to meet your students' needs. Once you open the instructional guides, you'll notice many changes as well as some familiar portions. We are still advocating that during the first 4 weeks of school, you discuss norms including movement, collaboration, student roles, teacher roles, and expectations for communication as you introduce the Reader's Workshop components. The lesson suggestions within the Establishing a Literacy Classroom portion of the ELA instructional guides are critical to setting the tone, expectations, and structures for student independence that will impact the effectiveness of instruction throughout the entire year. The amount of time focused on this each day will vary according to the needs of your students. The lessons in this section can take place during the time that you would typically dedicate to guided reading and independent reading, as they are focused on building student independence and agency in the classroom. Whenever possible, the skills, mindsets, and habits learned during these lessons should be explicitly reinforced during your shared reading lessons. There are several key resources referenced throughout these sections, including the lessons from Getting Started, the first 20 days of independent reading, the first 20 days establishing productive group work in the classroom by Fisher and Frey, and the Reading Strategies book. Look for suggestions from these resources in other places throughout the instructional guides as well. The first 20 days establishing productive group work in the classroom can be accessed through a hyperlink in the instructional guides. Copies of the Reading Strategies book by Jennifer Saravallo have been provided to each school site through the site-based Reading Coach, Reading and Writing Resource Teachers, and Reading and Writing Teacher Leaders. Please reach out to these teacher leaders at your school site for access to the strategy lessons in this wonderful resource. One major focus during the revision process for each grade level was to provide supports for teacher clarity. Look for these tips at the beginning of each instructional guide. The Launching the Learning section provides language for communicating the learning goals with students. The Compelling Question for Learning provides an essential question that connects the learning throughout the week. And the Notes to Consider section seeks to build teacher understanding of the content within the ELA standards. Teacher clarity is also supported throughout the rest of the document. You will notice that within the Comprehension section, there is a clearly outlined standards-based weekly focus. For each day of instruction, daily suggestions are provided along with the focus standard and secondary standards that are directly connected to the daily instructional target. Text-dependent questions, teacher language, and instructional moves are suggested along with ways of assessing student learning through exit ticket items and daily tasks. In the 4th grade instructional guides at the beginning of the year, you will see there is a focus on metacognitive strategy instruction. There are comprehension toolkit lessons referenced in order to explicitly teach the strategies. The expectation is that students will continue to use these critical strategies on their own throughout the school year and beyond. Metacognitive strategy use is critical in order to meet the language of the standards. Suggestions have been given for alternative text in case the original toolkit trade books are no longer available at every site. Another major change within the instructional guides is the inclusion of suggestions and resources for differentiated instruction targeted towards advanced learners as well as striving learners. These suggestions and resources support students as they access and build background knowledge, develop content knowledge, engage in discussion, and respond to their learning. Within the Foundational Skills section, you will find lesson suggestions for developing vocabulary knowledge, phonics, and fluency. Vocabulary knowledge is tightly aligned to comprehension, while automaticity with reading, as in decoding and fluency, frees up brain power for higher level thinking skills. Our language arts resources have been updated this year to include what you see here, including requested shared sequential and sequential sets. The 4th grade Explorations unit now has an updated overview provided to help when using explorations in nonfiction writing with your students. Also, a greater alignment is seen across reading and writing through language standards application, and lesson samples are provided in the first week for each grade level. These include detailed think-alouds and modeled writing examples to enhance student understanding and application. For writing support, please feel free to reach out to Tamisha Creed via Ideas email. You'll notice on this slide that parts of the Writing Essentials column from the Week 7 instructional guide are shown. We heard your requests for more sequential and shared sequential text sets. This week suggests using a new shared sequential set focused on the effects of yoga. This text set can be used during the 2019-2020 school year for both 4th and 5th grade students. A new text set for 5th grade will be added next year to replace this yoga focus. However, take advantage of having cross-grade level conversations about how students in your 4th and 5th grade classes provided the needed weave of evidence and elaboration while remaining focused on the most important evidence to support the prompt. Discussions with colleagues can help solidify how you approach full group instruction and the most important support for students through one-on-one conferences. Remember, ELA instructional guides are intended to provide guidance and support. You will need to make instructional decisions based on the needs of your students. The detail provided in the instructional guide should allow for more time during planning to be devoted to discussing differentiation and resources to meet students' needs, as well as guided reading. Please note that the suggestions within these guides are limited to resources that everyone has access to, like Journeys, Myon, News ELA, and text from the elementary virtual library, like Gale and Kids Infobits. Teachers have the flexibility to select alternative text based on student needs, but need to consider the quality and complexity of the text as well as alignment with the standards. We are so excited to be able to provide you with these freshly updated supports. Remember to read the connected weeks within a unit when beginning to plan for them, and always read the text before planning. The ELA instructional guides have lots of new information and embedded support, so download, print, and start reading. If you have any questions about the 4th grade instructional guides as you dig in and begin reviewing the changes, be sure to check out the notes section at the end of each instructional guide for important clarifications and collaborate with members of your site-based literacy team as you decide how to use the supports offered. Additionally, you can post questions to the Elementary Language Arts Conference in Ideas or contact Nancy Barber and Tamisha Creed in Ideas. We hope you have a wonderful 2019-2020 school year.